All right, Dio, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and also why your company is, um, what investors should know about your business and your company? And yeah,
For sure, pleasure to chat, Henry. I'm Deo. Spent some time in Israel, 6 years there. Did mechanical engineering, robotics research. Spent some time under showers as well, if you know what I mean. We had some attacks, and I got into the rabbit hole of fixing air defense. Um, had the unfortunate experience of having a Shahed land behind my apartment, and that exposes the weakness of current defense system, which is most of them are built, if anything, all of them are built for previous weapons doctrine, which is tracking planes and bigger aircrafts. But these days, war is fight with smaller drones and smaller UAS. So that's what we're fixing.
yeah, that's another interesting thing is that like those, like you said, those systems are built for what do they call it? Like more like traditional platforms. Whereas now, like obviously we've seen like Hezbollah using those the drones with the fiber cables or something, and so
Mm.
yeah, you think your system might address that, is what you're saying. Can you explain a little bit more about it?
For sure, we actually address that straight on because optic fiber cable drones, they don't emit radio waves for the comms. They use the cables to do their communication, and so they don't appear in normal sensing. We use optical sensing, meaning we see with visible light and also other spectrums. But the point is, we see invisible atoms, and nothing can escape that. Nothing is invisible in the human eye. So the way our system works, instead of having one giant radar, which again they're active and they can be bought and they're too expensive, we use a network of hundreds and in fact thousands, if you're talking about the whole country, of small sensors. They're about this big. You put them on top of building towers, and they scan the sky together and they mesh to combine their tracking into one singular understanding of the sky.
That's incredible. So you're creating like a mesh network of detection essentially that will give you. So how will that'll go back to like some HQ or something, and they'll be able to like track all that. And because I remember there was that attack on the that American base. It was like that tower in Jordan or something, I think a couple years ago, and
Yes,
it was a drone or something that,
yes.
yeah. So it would
So
solve
you
that problem, you think?
$1 billion radar gone, poof, just like that. Because again, they're big, they're hunky, they're expensive. It takes seven C-17 aircrafts to just deploy one of them. Okay, that's I think ridiculous when you are being attacked by 30K drones, and that's just the economic asymmetry that we're seeing in the current warfare. We gotta fix that. The current way my system is deployed is you can bring hundreds in a truck. You put one by one, form a grid around the city or make a strip around the border, and they all work together. And they don't send to an HQ. Again, the point is to be decentralized. You don't want to have like a single HQ. Sure, we can send the data to an HQ, but we don't process the data in that HQ. Everything happens on edge, such that if one sensor gets damaged or tampered or whatever, the system survives. It's a network.
Wow. And then, so obviously, I guess there'd be some sort of like anti drone system, but you're handling the sensing part. That's a separate technology or anything.
Yeah, you actually mentioned that you want to talk about a team. My team is well suited to build interceptor missiles. Like my founding engineers are PhDs in drones and autonomy, and rocket scientists is in the team. I myself is a mechanical engineering with like some aerospace background. So like we are well suited to build interceptors. We just see that the main problem is that the sensing is very bad. All interceptor companies in Ukraine and America, they tell me like we need better sensing. They rely on the data that RTX Patriots send them. But if those data are bad, it's like fighting as a boxer with very good fists, but you're blind. So what do you do, right?
Wow. So do you think that the like I know Anduril, they have, I think it's called like a mesh or something. Is that what it's called? They have like this network. How is yours different from
I think what
that? So you
you're
can just
referring to
explain to
Android.
people.
Yeah, I think you're referring to Anduril Lattice. So
Yeah,
they
that's
have
what I meant.
this.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, they have
Lattice.
systems like this, but we're focusing on hardware, not software. We are focusing on building this new infrastructure that tracks persistently. So a lot of the systems that currently exist, including Anduril's Sentry, that's their camera tower that can have PTZ, right? Pan, tilt, zoom
Yeah.
to track objects in the sky. They track only one thing at a time, right? And we can track everything persistently, multiple objects, and passively. So those three selling points doesn't currently exist in the market.
Wow. So can you tell me, are there a lot of other people trying to do what you're doing, or do you have a uh, unique way of doing it, or is the technology now proliferating? Because obviously this is a massive problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of primes are going to try to solve this, the defense primes.
I
Maybe.
invite the primes to join and solve this problem. I think my mission is to solve this problem. Like we need this problem solved, full stop. Like people are dying. Everyone in my team knows someone who died in the
Wow.
world because of this problem in Israel and also in Ukraine. I see this as a very good market because there's competitors joining in. Great, right? We want that. But the angle that we're solving it, I don't think people are trying to solve it in the way that we're trying to do it because it's a boring industry. Again, sensing is not exciting as drones or stuff that go boom. It's mostly just a
Yeah.
lot of math. So
Yeah.
it's quite boring. Yeah.
Wow. So obviously, if you make this technology, it'll be deployed to like probably around like every, like who would your customers look like? And because I remember one company, I was looking at them and they were selling like a system that would, it wasn't like your system of sensing, it would use more cameras, but like they were trying to pitch it around like all of like airports and stuff, but I'm not sure, is that a market, or I'm not sure, you know what I mean? I know people are always exaggerating their markets. I don't know how viable is that. What do you think about that?
Our primary market actually is dual use. So we want to protect anything that needs to be protected, and obviously the military wants to be protected, and they have come to us. But everybody else also wants protection. You're talking about airports, like you mentioned, critical infrastructure such as power plants, power grids, energy lines, ports. Right? They need to be protected, and that is the market that we're focusing on. Yeah.
I see. And do you think that you could just like break down the technology if people don't know anything about it? Why, just so they can understand like the problem and how you solve it, and
Very simply, radars emit radio waves. They bounce off the airplane and they come back. This is why stealth aircrafts have funky looking shapes because they try to disperse the radio waves that that come in contact with them. The problem is you're also telling people that you are looking at them. It's like nudging someone, right, in a crowd. So we do it passively instead of shooting radio waves. We're just accepting whatever they're already emitting because things emit at all times. When you come into your garage, the light comes up automatically because you emit infrared. So that's what human bodies emit. Planes emit other stuff, visible light, bouncing off the sky, thermals, from their heat signature. So there's a lot of stuff that we can already see from them. That's what we do first of all. But again, that's not the complete picture. We're also a mesh, so we're distributing a lot of sensors, and they work together. That is a different problem, but essentially, I'd like to highlight this because the difference between using one system and using hundreds is that, first of all, you survive attacks with hundreds of nodes, but also you get more accurate because now you have many things working together instead of one. So that's the benefit.
wow, yeah. So can you explain that more, like about how it works like passively, because I don't think people
Yeah.
understand that. Like, when a plane flies or whatever, it emits. They fire radar at it, a lot of
Mm.
planes will then like track that
Yeah.
and then target it. You know what I mean? That's why they have to. Yeah. And so, can you
Mm.
explain a little more about the passive? Because I don't think it's like understood.
I
Even
think
I
it's
have
very
trouble
simple.
understanding it.
It's actually very simple. I mean, to put it simply, like one of the modalities of passive sensing is just visible light. If you see an airplane flying above the airport, you're a passive radar. That's it. You see something flying and you track it. Full stop.
So you're using cameras, or what type of technology are you?
Cameras are involved, yes.
I see. Cameras and other things. Okay. That's really interesting. So is this yeah, I'm just trying to understand. I mean, so you would be like putting these like literally like in uh like blankets all around on top of cities like for miles. It's kind of like Shot Spotter. I don't know, have you heard of Shot Spotter? It's
Something like
like,
that.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that, it seems. It's like very similar to that, and it's really interesting. Yeah, and so how much do you think one of these would cost to produce? Is there a lot of maintenance, like just so you could break down what you think the economics are and stuff like that?
Yeah, if we talk about how much they cost, we don't sell a product, we're selling a system because they
Yeah.
work together also with the software side of things. So if you're talking about 100 kilometers square, that's the size of a typical VIP area. Like if you're talking about airports or large ports, general power lines, infrastructure, let's say 100 kilometers square, we'll deploy 100 node, and that will be about 30 million in an upfront cost, and you can also make recurring revenue from the maintenance from the software. Um, that's what it's going to cost. It sounds big, but it's really minuscule when you compare it to billions of dollars or trillions, and if you're covering a larger area with uh, Patriot systems.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Can you just tell people more about your business? Do you think that you're gonna, what part do you handle? What's the growth? Do you think you're gonna provide uh, software, have the ability to do software, or you're gonna work with partners, obviously, to manufacture it, suppliers and stuff like that, or what is your role, so they can understand?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. I'm
Sorry.
I'm the CEO. I'm the
Yeah.
CEO, but we're all technical. I think it's very important for everyone in the company to understand how the stuff works. I started my background is mechanical engineering, but the team in the company is also engineers. I currently built. I want to be very in touch with our technology, so I also go into the day to day in building stuff. I have like tools right around my table, right, nuts and bolts. But I also do fundraising. I talk to investors. I do the sale. I come to Ukraine. I talk to frontline operators. I talk to um, special forces. I talk to end buyers and end users. That's what I do.
I see. Do you think, can you just tell people where you are? Do you have a prototype? Do you have it where,
Yeah.
and just, yeah,
Sure.
or
We have a working
everything?
prototype, and we are working to improve that to battle readiness. There's a lot of standardized requirements that you need to fulfill just to be battlefront ready. But if you're talking about MVP, it's up and running, and we've tested it in multiple locations in America and Eastern Europe, in the Nordics, right, with snow. So we've done it in multiple places. Where we are in procurement is we get defense world takes time, but I think we've made good progress. I mean, we've demonstrated in classified military test sites. Um, we have done LOIs with interceptor companies who want to use our data and connect so that we become a full stack solution. They shoot it down, we tell them where to shoot. And we have, thousands of people applying for the company to join, and we have a steady pool of talent. So that's where the company is at.
Do you think that, I know a lot of people are trying to make uh, defense companies now and stuff like that. Do you think that you being in Israel gives you an advantage where you were there for 6 years? And how do you think that positions you relative to other people who may be trying to compete against you or maybe in the space?
I cannot tell what position I am in compared to other people, but I can say that a lot of people come to a certain industry because of trends. I think crypto is one of them, AI is one of them, people building bullshit wrappers. But I am not a defense person. I am not a AI person. I am not a startup person. What I am is someone who was born during the 1998 riots in Indonesia, where my dad had to guard our home with a machete to protect my pregnant mom with me inside. That left me with an imprint to jump into this world of protection and set me on a path of a trajectory of going to this defense world and living in Israel with friends dying left and right because of rockets falling here and there. That pushed me even into more momentum into trying to solve this problem, and also having the knack of engineering. Just growing up, I like to put stuff together. So all those things combined me into a person, an outsider that looks into an industry that realized, okay, there's a lot of stuff I can fix, and spent some time as well as an insider. Having 6 years in Israel, dealt with people that most people won't have contacts to, but because I lived there and can frankly, humbly, and uh, I'm honored to be able to call them like my family and friends who are like in this industry that can understand really what is working and what doesn't. And having spent time in Ukraine, like in the front lines, living in a shack with like operators to understand really what's going on, I think we have enough wisdom and resources to understand really how to solve this problem. I don't really want to like compare myself with other people who are trying to solve this problem. Like all power to them. You know, we need more people trying to solve problems in this space. I think it's an important space to work on defense.
Yeah. Um, are there other ways people are trying to solve the problem of the drones and stuff like that? Can you, I know
Yeah,
that you're doing passive sensing. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, there's interesting innovations in acoustics. So it's also like mesh deployed. They put a lot of microphones on top of towers. They use AI to decipher the sound of a Shahed or the sound of a Garan drone from a plane or whatever. But I think the unique thing about those things is that they're very affordable, but also the negative is that they cannot track the XYZ exactly of where to shoot. They can just notify you on your phone, hey, there's a Shahed, go hide under the table. But the actual shooting down, they don't really have that capability. There's also interesting technologies in FMCW in utilizing Chinese automotive car radars, like the one in a Tesla or in a Waymo, right? And you point that to the sky, pump a lot of energy to it, and try to detect stuff. But again, that's still radar.
Wow, I see. So, yeah, because I saw another company. It was doing it by like listening, like you just said.
Hmm.
And so obviously there are a lot of different. There are many different ways that people are trying to solve this problem. Why do you think yours is going to succeed? You said because you're more. You're able to like get it like more specifically instead of just generally with the audio, right? That's
Hmm.
identifying a object.
Yeah, the differentiation we are from the industry is really threefold. One, we are more accurate than radars to track small items. Two, we're passive, so while doing that, we don't reveal our position and we don't get shut down. Three, we're way more economically scalable, meaning we're cheaper than those billion-dollar Patriot systems that cannot scale to just blanket coverage countries, because that's the need now, blanket coverage, not just protecting like centralized assets.
I see. And then obviously as this goes along, do you see yourself being like you said, you might be a full stack? Can you just talk about how you think like this the growth might work and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious expansion is to build our own sort of effectors. I wouldn't say interceptors. Might be things that are ground based, right? Electronic warfare or whatever. There's a lot of ideas. I have a lot of sketches in my secret defense notebook, but I want to first solve this problem. I think it's the lower hanging fruit in the beginner, and it's the most important problem as well. A blind boxer won't punch shit. So we'll solve this problem, and then the expansion is obviously uh, to taking care of it. What do we do once we know there's something in the sky? Yeah.
Gotcha. And then what do you think are the biggest positives you're seeing with your business right now? And then what are the biggest bottlenecks?
I think let's start with the bottlenecks. I would say right now a lot of uh, the bottlenecks in defense world is really just speed. It's famously slow, famously bureaucratic because you're working with governments. This is why the positive side of it is that we're working with dual use and we're partnering with countries that move fast. I would say Europe is slow in everything, and they have very funky innovations like the bottle cap, but in defense they're quite fast just because of the current aggression they're facing in the border. So we've been doing stuff in Finland. They share the longest border with Russia. We've been doing stuff in Poland. They move fast. America can take some notes. I think they start to do it. So I think, yeah, they're doing a good job right now.
I see. And just for the last question, what do you think? What would you like to tell investors or anyone about yourself, why you're the right person for this, or your business that they don't understand, just so that they can understand fully? Because it's
Yeah.
always, yeah,
Yeah. About me, what I would tell them is that this is my life's mission. Like, I don't see building a company as like, how do I make money and sell in 3 years and, you know, do an IPO. Like, me is my life mission. Defense is my life's mission. Like, I know this is something I'm going to work on for the rest of my life. Like, hands down, I'm inevitable. Like, it doesn't matter. There's going to be 2 more wars, 3 more wars. I've had 30,000 rockets above my head since the beginning of 2019. Like, this is my life. And I was born during that event that I described. I don't think I have had the most peace and satisfaction in my life once I realized this is my path and I just went to it. I think a lot of people, and I'm very grateful that I discovered something I really, really love doing, and it also helps the world, and it also sustains me, like makes money, right? I don't think a lot of people can find that ikigai. I think it's very hard. I'm grateful that I have this founder product fit. What I will tell about the company is that I think it's a big opportunity right now, and that it will not come again because the defense industry is really coming to this like Web 2 to Web 3 shift in warfare, which is the big guns, and now it's turning to small, smart guns, which is the small drones. And more specifically, there's a shit ton of interceptor companies, and you will see a lot of them, and it will be crowded market. You can invest in those, and you'll be like a small droplet in a big, big pie. Or you can start to invest in companies that are solving the bigger pie of sensing that's not solved yet.
I see. So, um, I just want to say this is that it looks like you're trying to. It looks like my understanding is that like right now we're at a time where obviously the fiber optic drones are a serious problem for like a lot of armies, and it hasn't been solved. And what you're saying is that the interceptors don't have good eyesight really, and that they're really missing the sensing part, and that that's already a crowded market. And so you're trying to solve and the sensing part because that's where the huge need is, and it's only going to grow. Basically, is that fair to say?
Precisely.